Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Krashy, and today I wanted to pull off a video talking about like Charizard, the new Charizard, I guess. I don't know, it feels like he's kind of new, right? And just talking about some of the balance changes and what I've been liking to run on him. So this is kind of like a Charizard guide because that's what I want to talk about, like how I've been playing it, what I think the changes mean for the character, and what my actual build is. But at the same time, this is still like really early on, so you know, take it with a grain of salt. If I do update anything, I'll update the pinned comment and let you guys know what I'm thinking. But yeah, so Charizard is an all-rounder. I've been really enjoying him. I think that the reality is that Charizard is still best suited for the center position or the jungle position, but his laning phase is actually a little bit better. It's not very good, and I think the reason why there's a lot of all-rounders that just aren't very good in lane is they just lack mobility. It's really hard to make moves and to, like, you know, aggress on your enemies when you're a melee character but you don't have any mobility. So Charizard's still someone that I'm going to be wanting to run in the jungle. Definitely would recommend that. As for the build that I've been playing, I think that it is really important to put out the disclaimer that the all-rounders probably have the most diverse and subjective build choices possible. I think that there's room for you to run probably up to like 6 different items viably on most all-rounders, and this is just the build that I'm kind of working with at the moment. I've been testing some changes here and there, and I'll let you know what I'm thinking. So right now I've been running Scope Lens, Muscle Band, and Weakness Policy. This build feels really familiar to me. It fits a similar goal that I had in the past with Charizard, which is really to try to dive the backline and to do a lot of damage to, you know, the enemy attackers or the enemy speedster, whoever's on the team that is a low health kill target. And I'm still feeling that theme. Now, let's talk about the build. So Scope Lens is incredible on Charizard. This has been known for a while. It kind of works really well in tandem with his passive, where you're just getting so much potential crit, so much potential damage. And if you're not using Scope Lens on Charizard, that's one of those items on Charizard that I feel like I just have to have it. I have to have it. Now, the addition of Muscle Band, these two items were in my previous Charizard build last patch, and I was running the third item slot was Buddy Barrier. But the additional Muscle Band feels very strong as well. It's a lot of HP shred, a lot of attack speed. It keeps you just pushing out damage, and while it doesn't really apply the same way that it would on, say, like an auto attacker, like your normal auto attacker, and I need to do some research and testing, and I'm sure somebody will correct me because I'm not the major testing type, but people in this community definitely are. I don't think Muscle Band applies on every single tick. In fact, I don't think it. I know it doesn't apply on every single tick, but I think it either happens like once every 4 ticks, like once every full auto or once every couple of autos, but either way, as long as Muscle Band is applying its item effect to that HP shred and giving you these the attack speed, then the item is incredibly strong on Charizard. Now, for the third item slot, this is where I think things can get pretty subjective. I mean, even so, you could get pretty subjective for like 2 item slots for Charizard, but in the past I've run Buddy Barrier there. I think that's a great option if you want to have some more survivability during a team fight, if you want to have the ability to pop that ultimate and give your ally a shield. But right now I've been messing around with Weakness Policy. Now, the reason I've been doing this is because I like the all-rounder focus to it. I like that I'm raising my health pool, but I'm also going to be taking damage to give more damage, to output more damage. So when I was messing around with Weakness Policy, what it feels like to me is that on average I am sitting anywhere always, at all times, anytime I'm close to an enemy player, I'm sitting at anywhere just about 2 stacks of Weakness Policy up to the max of 4 stacks. So that's anywhere between an additional 6% to 12% damage to my attack stat at all times. And this is going to be more damage for my crits. This is going to be more damage applied to every auto, to every ability, everything that scales. It feels really nice. It feels good. Now, you know, when you're running in as an all-rounder, and this is why I think weakness policy is like specifically geared for all-rounders, you're going to be taking damage. You know, you have to close the gap between you and your enemy, and that's just how it feels. So there is another item in the game that was recently introduced that I want to talk about in regards to a Charizard build, and that was the Razor Claw. Now, the Razor Claw is a very, very good item, but I don't think that I like it too much on Charizard, and I want to explain why. So the Razor Claw will apply additional damage after using an ability, and with this particular build, we are going to be running the Flamethrower and the Fire Blast, and we'll talk about that here in just a second. But with this particular build, you do kind of spam your abilities out and chase your opponents down. The problem is mid-ultimate. Mid-ultimate, I want to be doing the most damage possible, and I feel like this build that I'm running right now gives me the potential to do so. So the issue with running Razor Claw is that you can't actually use your abilities in the middle of your Unite move, but it doesn't really feel like it's as much of a benefit as having these three items that I have on. You know, when you pick up somebody and slam them down and then you chase them down, you're applying crits, you're applying auto attacks, you're applying the effect from, you know, Muscle Band, and then all while, if you're taking damage or have any stacks on, all while your attack stat is higher. So that's why I really like it. You're not really using your abilities when you're chasing down your enemies as Charizard in the ultimate. So okay, and again, you know, sorry that it's like a little scatterbrained. I'm still learning about these items and, you know, Razor Claw and how it affects things. I've just tested it on Charizard, and I'm not a huge fan, but I do like it on other all-rounders, for sure. So let's talk about the abilities. Now, I'm using Flamethrower and Fire Blast, and I would love to tell you why. Fire Punch was a non-compromising choice in the last patch. It was incredibly strong, and I just could never see myself taking Flamethrower over that. And that was until, of course, this patch. This Fire Blast, or this Flamethrower rather, is incredibly strong. It gives you a massive move speed increase, and it gives you the ability to kind of like poke and do things at range, which is already kind of a weak spot on Charizard. And it does it with the ability to actually chase them. So it's good for mobility, it's good for poking. This definitely makes his laning phase like a little bit better, but also just in general, when you're dancing around in the lane trying to poke at them, gives you that ability to do a little bit of damage. And, you know, I've taken some objectives with it. It's not super incredibly hard hitting, but it definitely does, you know, what it needs to do. And yeah, I like that. So I definitely think that that's pretty solid. So I like Flamethrower. Sorry, I'm getting confused. I like Fire Blast as well, and the reason why I've always liked Fire Blast over Flare Blitz is that it just provides so much utility. And now I think that Flamethrower and Fire Blast working together feels really, really nice. You know, if you're trying to chase someone down, you have the ability to throw a slow, you have the ability to speed yourself up if you hit them with Flamethrower, and Flamethrower has a really long range, so it's really easy to hit, and you just have so much utility. And I don't even want to say damage, because really your damage as Charizard doesn't really come from your abilities. It mostly just comes from you running people down, and that's what this build is all about. Sure, Flare Blitz is, you know, a dash, but it's like a single target dash, and I just find that you get a lot more use and utility out of Fire Blast. You know, you can use it to hold off chokes, you know, near Dreadnought, near Zapdos. You can use it to throw ahead of your enemies in mid-fight. You can use it to throw in the middle of a fight, under bees, under, you know, your own goals if you're trying to defend, or throw it on their goal if you're trying to push them off of it. There's just so much more utility in Fire Blast than there is in Flare Blitz, where Flare Blitz is really, really good at chasing like one person down. And yeah, not a huge fan of it, even with the shield. So that's how I'm feeling about it. I wanna know your thoughts on Charizard. I think that he's incredibly strong. Like I said, this is kind of like a guide, more so just like a discussion video about the current state of Charizard. I'm really liking him. I feel like I can chase down my enemies. I feel like I've got a pretty solid build. It's not very tanky, so you know, there's definitely some subjective changes that you can make to try to get a buddy barrier in or to get a focus band in, but right now, and the way that I've always played Charizard is for high damage, chase down that backline target, you know, get him out of there if you can. And it's a little bit different with his new ultimate, because now you have to use the Seismic Slam first and then find your target. So sometimes what I'll do in a fight, especially if everybody's close to each other, and I mean the enemy team, I need them close to each other, is sometimes I'll just slam like a tank, and I'll get the tank off the field for just like what, a couple seconds or like a second, and that acts as like CC for the tank, and then I'll chase down the backline target. If I can say there is a Cinderace next to me, then yeah, sure, I'll slam the Cinderace race and then I'll chase him down. But sometimes it just feels like you need to get yourself into that ultimate, and I'm still trying to figure out how I feel about that. You know, maybe I do need to use an eject button on him. I've been running full heal. I'm still thinking about using eject button on him, going back and forth a little bit of testing that to see how it feels, because if I do have my eject button, then I can eject to the back line and then try to use the seismic slam on the right target. But we're still gonna keep testing on that one. So let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below. I'm loving new Charizard, trying to figure out all the ins and outs and find the build that I like, but this is how I've been running it right now. Like I said, if I find anything else, I'll definitely update y'all, or if I change my mind on Charizard. I don't think Charizard's the best character in the game or anything, but I think he's like a solid B tier, maybe A tier character, like high B tier, low A tier character, has some really good use in the potential meta. So as always, friends, be sure to be kind to one another, tell someone that you love them, and I'll see you on the next video.